I made it. Yes, I'm on live. Okay, good. Let me let people know. Oh, man. Well, welcome to Glue Wednesday. This will be my first time broadcasting my from this page. Hey, what's up, Lewis? The thing is, I normally, hey, what's up? Hey, David, welcome, man. I normally broadcast from my other page. I have two Sporty King pages because Facebook technology stuff. Everything is good, David. And so, they cut this page off. Then I started a new one. Hey, happy birthday to you. They cut this page off. I started a new one and then they cut this page back on. So, hey, thank you, Vic, for coming over. So now, next thing I know, I cleaned out the cookies or something like that, and they cut my other page off. Um, I can still get to my other page on my phone, but I can't get to it on my computer. So, but you know me, I'm gonna work it out. You know what? Remember that? Remember the movie, The Mac Y'all, Old School Brothers Gonna Work It Out. So I worked it out, and I'm actually. You're still in Afghanistan, David. Man, that's good. I'm glad you still making that work for you. Thank you. Hey, Holly. Wow, good to see you on here too. Man, long time since Apostolic. Okay. I love you. Yeah, I didn't forget you, Miss Delta. And but anyway, let's get to it. For those of you, and now that's interesting because maybe some of you aren't used to seeing my broadcasts because I've had on this page, and maybe you're not friends on my other page. I'll figure out how to get them both together. But Glue Wednesday is the session that I created that I use because a lot of people say that Wednesday is hump day. And I say that hump has the connotation of the need to get over. For me, my trying to be positive and word sensitive, just for fun. But I see Wednesday not necessarily as the hump day, but the glue, the day that keeps the beginning of the week and the weekend together. Because not everyone has Wednesday as the middle of their work week, which is where the word hump day which is kind of connoting. Okay, so I say, regardless of when your work week is, Wednesday is the day of the week that keeps that it's the middle day of the week, so it's the glue. And my glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Recognizing that when we have God's love in us, which we have, but notice the word is recognizing when we have God's love in us, there's nothing that we can't overcome. There's nothing that is undone that can't be put back together. And sometimes, don't get carried away, sometimes putting something back together does not mean that it's going to retain its original form. Sometimes putting things back together puts you on a new path because what God is always looking to do is put you on the correct path. But you have to recognize that that's where you are. Okay, so I'm just looking now in case somebody is on my other one. Let's see. Okay, good. Okay, so anyway, here's what I'm talking about today. Today is the 24th anniversary of the Million Man March. Wow. And I just thought I wanted to send a message to celebrate that because I was blessed and excited to have been one of the people that actually went to DC and participated in the march. So what I'm going to really do is share the 3 poems that I wrote to memorialize the march, but also just say a little bit about that experience. And that's really what my broadcast is about today. Hey, Troy. All right, one of my young brothers. Good to see you. All right, so don't worry, y'all. I'm not going to keep giving shout outs now. Yeah, Vic, I went. Right. Okay, so here's the setup. It was the talk. Everybody was talking about the Million Man March because we were so excited about it. I was in Chicago at the time. Hey, Linda, Miss Grandmother, I'm so glad to see you. I hope. Oh my God, is it Bianca? No. Oh my God, I love your daughter. And anyway, because my mind is everywhere, and so when I see certain names and I get pictures of certain people, but anyway. So everybody was talking about the Million Man March, the hype, and so I'm in a club. So my girl Sheila Carter and one of my boys Kurt Tyler, and we're talking about it. And Sheila was saying something about how she thinks it's marvelous, and the brothers who are going this and that. And then Kurt and I start talking about it, and we weren't going and this is the day before, by the way, this is on the Thursday, and the march was scheduled for Saturday. And so this was on Thursday night. And as we got talking about it, Kurt and I decided, you know what, we're going to the Million Man March, just like that, and we decided we were going to drive from Chicago and go. And so I called I called my boy Skip Waddell in DC to see if he was going to be home and if I could stay with him. Kurt has his friends and family that he called and checked with them. So boom, we were on the road to the Million Man March. That we just decided, bam, sitting there on a Thursday night, and we left Friday morning to drive to DC for the march. And the beauty of it, y'all, it was so cool because we're driving and we're passing buses, with people with signs on it and brothers waving, cars. It was such an exciting time to be in America, and it was exciting to be Black in America. But and for me, I'm always excited to be in America, by the way, and excited to be Black. But I'm just saying, there was a special feeling about that day that, you just really kind of had to be there. So this, and one of the things that I won't be able to share with you is, let me tell you what was my favorite moment of the Million Man March, because let me chronicleize a little bit better. So we got there on Friday. I stayed with Skip and Pat. And then Saturday morning, Skip and I got, we took the train down to the plaza, down to the square where everything was happening, the monument, and we hooked up with, Kurt and I. And by the way, this is the days of no text messaging. We did have cell phones, though. And so we were able to coordinate. Did we have cell phones? How did we coordinate? I don't even remember. Wow. 24 years ago, no, we didn't have cell phones. We had made our plans on how we were going to meet. And so that was the thing that we had to do. Say, look, here's where we're going to meet and the area we're going to be in. And then we figure it out. And then meanwhile, if we don't meet, we had this experience of traveling together. We're still going to leave together. That's how plans had to be made. It was kind of cool. So Skip and I went down and we're on the train. Everybody on the train. And by the way, P.S., by the way, this is Black and white, Asian, Jewish, Spanish. Everybody was so excited. And people were on the train talking about it. Everybody was smiling and talking to one another. See, the Million Man March wasn't a thing about, hey, I'm Black, don't you say anything to me. It was about, hey, we're making a statement. And y'all are in part of the statement, but here's what we're going to say about ourselves. And they're like, okay, cool. Let's hear about what you've got to say so we can see how your story fits with our story. Because really, isn't that what we need to be more about, America? How does your story fit with my story? All of us have different stories. We do it with our friendships within our race. Why can't we continue to find a way to do it in our relationships outside of our race? And meanwhile, that why is a rhetorical question, because I know we're constantly trying to find the way. And I just say, when you find the way, enjoy it and relish it. But let me tell you something. By the way, no, I'll tell you that. I'm gonna save it for the end. Okay. So anyway, here's the first. Like I say, the picture I can't share with you of my greatest memory of the Million Man March was, there was a time, because everybody is just standing out there and talking, just regular conversations. They had the program going on the stage, but you couldn't hear it depending on how far back you went. We were pretty far back, and and it was just smart. Some people over there playing music, and they had vendors out there, and just people standing around talking and just chilling out. But here was the best memory for me. You know how when you go to a concert and it's so crowded and everybody's pushed up onto the, to where the people on the stage feel like they don't have any room to breathe? That was the situation where there was so many people that it was capacity pushed up to the stage where the barricades were, and so that the security it was kind of unsecure. Hey, Johnny, yeah, thank you. And so, do you know what? I don't remember who, but they made an announcement from the stage. Now, they said, they talked about the security and the safety issues of everybody pushing forward, and asked everybody, would they please step back, turn around and step back. I don't know what words they use, but I took a picture. Uh, and the picture shows all the men and everybody, all the men walking in the same direction. So now, if you had been looking at the picture, you would say, oh, the Million Man March, they're marching together. But actually, no, the picture was of how everybody, those millions of people on the plaza, turned around and started walking backwards so that the people in the front could have more room. You know how when you're in a crowd, you're in the back, and they say, could y'all turn, give the people in the front some room? And they say, well, I'm in the back. They're not talking to me. They're just talking to people in the front. No, everybody on that plaza, y'all, turned around and started walking backwards so that there could be more room and a safe environment. It was the moment that really did something to me, and I took the picture. It wasn't those days of me having a cell phone and a video, but that was the picture that stands out in my mind, and y'all can't understand just how wonderful it was to see that type of cooperation. There was just such a peace about this whole march, and that's why even as today, as we hear about people protesting, if you can keep a peaceful protest, come on, get out there and stand for what you believe in, and just help people have a peaceful protest, because it can make a difference. But I wrote 3 poems about it, and here's the first poem I wrote. And this poem is called A Sense of Strength, because as I looked at everybody turning around and walking and just being calm, that's what I got, a sense of the power and the strength of this whole movement and the day. So what you're going to hear is I took my 5 senses and broke them down into the Million Man March, a sense of strength. There were no sounds of jazz, blues, rap, or reggae, but I did hear a triumphant heartbeat. And I saw my brother sitting on the solid earth. And I inhaled the exhilarating aroma of peace. And I tasted the tang of victory. And I felt a vibrant touch of satisfaction. There was no smell of chicken pollution, urine, or reefer. I did hear triumphant heartbeats. I saw my brother standing on the solid ground. I inhaled the aroma of exhilarating peace. I tasted victory's sweet tang. I felt touches of vibrant satisfaction. There were no signs of poverty, chaos, destruction, or disaster. Heard triumphant heartbeats. Saw brothers sitting and standing. Inhaled peaceful aromas. Tasted sweet victory. Felt vibrant and satisfied. There were no sourpusses, spoiled sports, or tacky talkers. Triumphant heartbeats, brothers on solid ground, exhilarating aromas, the tang of victory, vibrantly satisfied. There was no pushing and shoving, bumping and grinding. Heartbeats, earth, peace, victory, satisfaction. And the Million Man March combined all of my senses and empowered me to go on. I left it feeling proud. I live it by staying strong. And that has been, even as I look at my life now, that has been one of the satisfying things, is that I appreciate how I always try to use my 5 senses, and I appreciate that I've been able to stay strong and always represent who I am in an effort to represent who everybody needs to be. Maybe I'm representing you if I'm your messenger. You know how I always say, choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you're always being chosen as a messenger. So that was part of what was going on in the Million Man March for me. It was just a wonderful sense of strength. This next poem I wrote about it actually came after my going home, because you know what? Just as I'm talking about unity and togetherness and strength, the media was downplaying the strength of the Million Man March. I don't remember which one. It wasn't as crisply clear as it is today, where it's 2 or 3 networks fighting against one another. And I'm not going to mention networks because I'm not going to give them free press on my live feed. But anyway, they actually had set out a number saying that 400,000 men showed up for the Million Man March. 400,000 men showed up. That was one of the media outlets' proclamation to, again, to downplay how wonderful it was. So this poem is called More, Better, or Worsa. 400,000. At least they used to give us credit for doing things half-assed. Now we're in the minority at our own gathering. 800,000, I would have caught my breath, hunched my shoulders like I just dropped a plate of food, and closed my eyes, wishing to disappear before it hit. 900,000, I would have snapped my fingers, shook my head, and thought of how many of the 827,440 imprisoned brothers might have come, and my nephews and their friends who couldn't. I would have felt the stadium's crowd empathy as my half-court shot hit the front of the rim. 950,000, I would have written down the names of elementary and junior high school classmates, guys I partied with at discos, played ball with, shot pool, even acted a fool with. But at 400,000, all I can do is open my mouth with my head cocked to the side like a curious eagle who just heard a pin drop and asked the walls, what? No way that there were only 400,000 at the Million Man March. It was definitely over a million. It did come out, by the way, I don't know what the final total came out to be, but it did come out, the total was definitely over a million. And they counted everybody, because come on, there was nobody there with a clicker as people were coming in. They said, oh, you're black male, you're a black male. Okay, oh, you're black female, can't count you. Oh, white female, oh, white. They didn't do that. The Million Man March was about 1 million people or more showing up for black men. And that was the beauty of it. It didn't matter who the speakers, all the speakers, they had some, we had different speakers. Some were controversial according to, again, to the media and to what your beliefs are. And then it was some that were inspirational, again, according to the media and what your beliefs are. But the main thing is that it did something. And so, I posted a video of the news coverage on my pages as well, and you'll see how they talked about it just a little. But if you want to take some more time and go in and just look into it a little bit more, but it was such a great feeling of being a part of that history and the joy. And so that's why this final poem is called The Millions That Watched, because even as we talk about the millions who were there were people. Remember, I decided on Thursday night, to travel on Friday, all day Friday, to get there for Saturday. And someone as far across, maybe the West Coast, if they had not made airline reservations, they couldn't have done that spontaneous choice that Kurt and I made on a Thursday night. So, so that's why this final poem is called The Millions That Watched. There were no entry gates, no Gallup poll, and you wouldn't even give us half a star. I'm sorry, let me start over. There were no entry gates, no Gallup poll, and they wouldn't even give us half a star. Yet we were on every TV set, each radio, and countless minds near or far. We meandered, we profiled, we smiled, laughed, and cheered. We welcomed the faces around us, blessed them, and showed them we cared. Germany, Canada, Mother Africa, D.C., they came in multitudes by land, air, or sea. Philly, the Apple, Chi-Town, Motown, take your pick, they were all there. I have yet to count the people who watched at home from their chair. Somewhere a baby was delivered. His peaceful cry celebrated on earth. On the other side of town, there was death and mourning. One for one is what each life is worth. France, London, Jamaica, St. Croix, take your pick, they were all there. I have yet to count the people who watched at home from their chair. Some marched in their hearts at home. Some marched in their hearts at work or in school. Still others protested, considered us fools. They talked about us at lunchtime, missed seeing us at the stores. Lincoln Park, Hyde Park, Lakeshore Drive, Robeson High. Take your pick. They were all there. And don't forget the people. Don't forget to count the people who watched at home from their chair. So that's my tribute to the Million Man March. You know, there were, hey Peggy, and that's Skip, that's your cousin, my brother. All right. There was so much hype over the Million Man March, and I think the momentum stayed with us for a couple of years of making difference. I've never actually been one who liked the term black leaders because there's no one who represents me just because they are black. I follow people who have my belief system and my best interest at heart. And when they change how they feel about that, I unfollow them. That's the way I do things. So, so there was some, because the crooked people are everywhere. And I say that first because I like to do the bad and then close with the good and say good-hearted people are everywhere as well. And there are enough good-hearted people in our midst and in your surroundings for you to stay positive and find ways to get things done, because you can. Okay, so the Million Man March was a great piece of history. I'm excited to have celebrated that. We celebrate history every day, y'all. Something that you're doing is a part of history. This is the thought that one of the things I decided to save to the end of the broadcast to get more of you on, to see more of you here, to hear the message at the same time. If you look at my background, you can't see that I'm actually in a car right now. I'm in my car. I'm doing part of my history that I'm making right now. I'm in the process of moving. I've been renting in my apartment, and now I'm looking to rent a house. And I'll be moving out in November and starting my residency in my new house in December. So I've been driving around looking at houses for rent. And I'm actually sitting in front of what could possibly be my next home. Uh, it's a nice place. It's a townhome in this area, a nice quiet area too, where I am in Charlotte, and I like it. I'm having a great day looking at houses. I've gone. This is the third one. I've got one more to check out, and the first one I saw I absolutely loved, but it didn't have everything that I wanted on my list. It didn't give me my fireplace or my garage, but I love it enough to possibly apply for it. This one doesn't have the garage, but it does have the fireplace. And so I say that to say, when we're making a decision, do you have to have everything you want, or do you get enough of what you want? And even I connect that again to my Million Man March, because that's what we have to realize. When you have a peaceful protest, or when you stand for anything, do you get everything you want, or do you get enough? And that's really one of the things we have to recognize, is that in most cases, we have to be willing to get enough. That doesn't mean that we concede. Compromise is not concession. A lot of times we say everything that we want in a mate, in a job, in a place to live, in a situation, a stand that we're taking, but we can't get everything because we have to have compromise. Because just as you want these certain things, there's somebody else who wants something. And so the challenge is for your wants to come together and find a spot. Well, look, I want you to have this, but if I let you have this, I absolutely cannot have that. So would you let me have this, and then you take that? And see, that's what it is. And that's what we hope our politicians are doing. They certainly are doing it. Sometimes they're compromising our lives, but that's what they do. Stop beating up your politicians. It's a tough job being a politician, because they have to gamble with our lives. They have to make concessions, and they trade off on us. So really, I'm not Mr. Big Political, but I make sure I look into wanting the politicians who have my best interest at heart. So that means I have to know what my best interests are, and you have to know yours. So don't vote based on, I'm voting because he or she is black. She's a woman, he's a man. No. Vote because you've got the person who has your best interest at heart. And then recognize that somebody's not going to win that nomination. So therefore, once the vote is in and as they call it, the people have responded, then we don't need to automatically make enemies of the people who didn't vote the way we did. We have to recognize, okay, why, let's find the compromise. What is it about this candidate that you liked, and what is it that about my candidate, and how does this affect our lives? Because the bottom line is that it still has to come back to us making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. There's no one politician or political party that can take care of you. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to be your 1 million person march. You have to make the history matter for you. So thank you for tuning in to Glue Wednesday. I'm figuring out what's going to happen with Facebook about which page I get to broadcast from and which ones I don't. But it's been a ball over here, because normally I just post it and share it to this page, but this time I got to broadcast over here. Let me do some quick. Thank you, Jose. Thanks, Haas, my brother. Lewis, good to see you. Give you a call. Okay, will do. Vanessa, good to see you. Hey, what's up, Tony? All right. Hey, Lil. All right. Oh man, what did Lil say? Because I gotta see that. That's my why you were in your car. Yeah, right. See, but you could tell that I was in the car, right? Because what was more important to me was getting your glue to you, and so that's why I put it into my day, because I still got stuff to do with my day. And there's again what a part of the message. Don't do what you're supposed to do. Get your personal win. Do what you're supposed to do to make this life and this world a better place for everybody else. I can't just sit in my home and wait to do my broadcast. I have something to do. I have a place to, I have to move, and so so that's part of what's going on in my life. That's what's going to bring peace into my spirit, so I can continue to bring peace into yours. Thank you. God bless you. And again, do something to celebrate today, the 24th anniversary of the Million Man March. God is so good. Amen. Over and out. Ciao.